Well, hello there, everybody. My name is Didi Verg, and I'm your host for Let's Talk Hypnosis, brought to you by Hypnothoughts Live. And today it is my very special privilege to be speaking with Melissa J. Roth. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thanks, Didi.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
I said it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. And you know what? I happen to know Melissa very personally, and she's an extraordinary person in our industry. Let me tell you a little bit about her. After healing her own irritable bowel syndrome and fibromyalgia through self-hypnosis, in 1995, Melissa Roth founded the Alabama Hypnotherapy Center, and since then she specialized in medical applications of hypnotherapy. She's developed a number of unique approaches to chronic illnesses which have become alternative treatments of choice worldwide. She partners with physicians often most of the time in every specialty to promote hypnosis as an important and valuable tool in the medical arsenal, and she teaches from experience. So say a little bit more about that, because I know that you really are someone who has been there, lived through it, changed it, and then helped the world to go on to change everything from fibromyalgia to chronic fatigue to irritable bowel to any of those kind of diseases like immune disease, self-immune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. So tell us a little bit about how you got into hypnosis.
Well, back in 1984, I started getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and I would go to the doctor and they'd go, "Oh, well, honey, it's just stress. You know, you got a high stress life. Here, take these antidepressants." And those only made me worse. And so finally one day, I had both severe IBS and fibromyalgia at the same time. And I owned a human resources consulting firm at that point, and was really unable to go to the office. I mean, the secretary would even bring payroll checks to my house for me to sign because I couldn't get to the office.
Right.
So I thought, something's got to give. Western medicine doesn't have a clue what to do with me, and I can't. At that point, I was a young woman, and I'm still young, but I was younger. And I thought, I've got to do something. So I started doing research. I hauled myself to the medical library in town and started doing research, and I found this one synopsis of an article that had been written on using hypnosis for IBS by Peter Horwell, a gastroenterologist in Manchester, England. Mm-hmm. And what the article said was that he was using hypnosis for his failed IBS patients, and about half of them were getting better. Nobody was getting well, but they were getting better.
Right.
And I thought, 50% looks pretty good from where I sit. And I thought, well, I'll just call him up and find out what he's doing, and I'll figure out how to get whatever it is. And I was really naive, thinking that I could get this world-class researcher on the phone. But after 21 days of straight calling, I did. I know his secretary was going, "Dr. Horwell, talk to this yank and make her stop calling me." and I got him on the phone, and it was just this. There was no conversation. He thought I was a hypnotherapist.
Oh.
And he said, "All right, do this, do this, do this, don't do that. And if they're close to 50, don't take them, because it won't make any difference." And I'm going, "Oh God, I'm close to 50." And I thought so I got off the phone. I was just elated. Oh, I know what to do. And I started thinking about it, and I thought, I don't have a clue what he just said to do. I mean, I knew hypnosis at that point. I had learned it as an undergraduate and used it to get through graduate school. And then I had used it for pain-free childbirth and actually to get pregnant with my daughter. So I'd used it, I'd read it, I was using it for my corporate human resources clients, workshops, for communication, conflict negotiations, and et cetera, et cetera. But didn't know hypnosis. So I hauled myself off to hypnotherapy school, and that didn't tell me what I needed to know either. Mm-hmm. And then I took the advanced classes, and that didn't tell me. So I just started experimenting on myself. I went down a lot of dead ends. I hit a lot of brick walls. But over a period of 13 months of just hit or miss and one brilliant idea, one epiphany one day, I hit upon the combination and I became symptom free. And so I went back to work, and I was seeing clients for irritable bowel syndrome. And so one of my clients was a physician who had been in danger of losing his partnership because he couldn't see patients because he couldn't stay out of the bathroom. So we very quickly eradicated his IBS symptoms, and he was going, yeah, but this pain in my legs and my shoulders and my back. And I'm going, well, I don't know what to do about that. That's not IBS. He said, well, look, he said, if you can do this, you can do that. He said, it's my money, just try something. I said, well, Mike, you've got fibromyalgia. I don't know what to do. He said, just try something. So I thought, well, okay. So I started working on he and I in tandem. And that took another 9 months. And we were both symptom free.
Oh, because you had it yourself at that time, too.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going, whoa, maybe this is going to work. And my sister noticed I was back at work and called up and said, well, what did you do? And I told her, and she said, fix me. And I went, okay. And so she showed up for her third session with 17 of her closest friends and family members in tow. I walked out to the reception room to get her and was going, where the hell you come from?
No pressure at all.
And she said, everybody wants to be fixed. And I'm going, oh, no. So, sure enough, they all became symptom-free.
Amazing.
And it was a wide range. Let me tell you, it was everything from early 20s to 70-something.
And with fibromyalgia or many different things?
With both irritable bowel and fibromyalgia.
Right.
And so at that point, I thought, I think I'm onto something here.
Sure.
And so I did a 2-year controlled, or as controlled as hypnosis can get, research project. And I took 36 clients. I did 2 projects, one for IBS, one for fibro. And I took 36 clients into each one. And the way I got them was I went to physicians and said, this is what I'm doing. I won't charge them. I know that you can't do anything for them. Mm-hmm. You've done the best that you can do, and it doesn't work. So the physicians sent them to me. And at the end of the 2 years, 86% of IBS clients were completely symptom-free, and 94% got at least a 50% reduction in their symptoms. And that has lasted. I still keep up with those 36 people. This is, 30-something years later? And they all still are symptom-free. And then in fibromyalgia, it was an 82% became completely symptom-free. And they've remained that way also.
Amazing. So what I'm curious about is what is it that's causing these days? Because many of people in our society suffer from some kind of chronic debilitating disease. What is it? What have you seen in your experience that's causing this? Like, what's the cause of it?
Well, there's not a universal cause. I mean, everybody wants to all these forums, they go, oh, well, this is stress related. This is death. Mm-hmm. This is, asthma indicates early childhood abuse. No, I don't buy that. I mean, every client is different, but the one thing that is pretty consistent with most of these chronic illnesses is that, your unconscious mind trains all of your autonomic processes when you're in vitro, and then those first few weeks and months of life.
Okay.
And then you're going down the road of life, and everything's going pretty well for you. And then one day you hit a pothole in the road of life.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you hit a pothole in the road with your car, it knocks your car wheels out of alignment. And you don't go back looking for the pothole that caused the misalignment and go, I found you. Now, my wheels should be realigned. Now you just take it to a mechanic and they, do their magic and you go on your merry way. Well, that pothole in the road of life is pretty similar. It knocks your autonomic processing out at your personal weakest link.
Okay.
That might be IBS, that might be fibromyalgia, that might be rheumatoid arthritis, it might be something else. But it's your personal weakest link. Or it could be that series of potholes that you hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, understand something. The pothole can be big, or it can be a little bitty when you happen to hit just right. Or it could be the last in the series of potholes. And you become symptomatic. Well, there's no point. Actually, it's contraindicated to do regression to cause, because that causes the client to hit the pothole again. And it just further entrenches the symptoms. It makes it harder to get rid of them. So my epiphany that I was talking about earlier was that since your unconscious mind trained those systems to begin with, why couldn't you use it as the tool, the mechanic's tool, to retrain them to function normally again? Mm-hmm. And once I started formulating suggestions around that theory, it worked. And it continues to work. And I've just applied it from one thing to the next. I've done the research to, find out where the misalignment probably is, mm-hmm. In the autonomic processing series. And then you address that to retrain that part to be like it was before the misalignment, and it works.
Apparently, it does. So, I know everybody's unique and special and different, but on average, when you're working with any of these kind of chronic illnesses, how many sessions do you need to see somebody for? Like a range?
Okay. Well, IBS, if they're under 50 years of age, takes 6 sessions. Fibromyalgia is 12. Chronic fatigue is 10 to 12. Autoimmune is somewhere 8 to 15.
Okay.
Depending on just how bad the client is. But I got into autoimmune diseases due to a friend of mine, Roger Moore, mm-hmm. in Seattle. Roger and I had the same basic trainer. And even though we trained on 2 different coasts, our trainer went, the 2 of you really need to know each other. So I called him up. Wayne says, we need to know each other. And he goes, okay. And we've been best friends ever since. But we would be at conferences lecturing together, and he would say, when are you going to do something about rheumatoid arthritis? And when I'm not. And we'd see each other, 4 or 5 times a year at conferences, and everyone, when are you going to do something about rheumatoid arthritis? I'm not. Finally, after this barrage over the years, I turned to him one day and I said, what is your deal with rheumatoid arthritis? Is that what's wrong with Marilyn's back? I knew his wife was disabled due to her back. And he went, no. He said, it's me. And he held out his hands, and they were starting to get all gnarled and bent.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh shit! And so the guilt started eating me up. Here's my close friend, my dear friend, who wants help, who's willing to do the work, and I'm the one that's the fly in the ointment. And so we started working on his rheumatoid arthritis, and it was interesting because right about that time I was diagnosed with RA2. And I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it could be. So I went to 7 different rheumatologists, and I didn't tell any of them about the previous workup, and they all came back with the same thing.
Right.
Well, shit. We started working in collaboration with each other, and now Roger's hands are completely straight. He quit running after a really bad fall, but now he's one of those bikers, with the spandex shorts that I hate. And
we can't tell that at all.
no. And he'll ride his bike for 100 miles.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. So, and like I said, his hands are completely straight, and he doesn't have any limitations anymore, except for one. Okay. And through this process, because Roger is got lots of certifications in nutrition, and sure. That was his part in our collaboration, was the nutritional aspect of it. We found that corn exacerbates pain levels, regardless of what it is, but particularly with autoimmune diseases. Corn will throw the person back into pain. Or corn products like corn chips or
and it's
whatever.
In everything. There's corn syrup.
It's as prevalent as sugar is.
Right.
As an additive in foods.
It's amazing.
But when we found that out, I'm sorry, Sedona, come here. We found that out because summer came and Roger had been symptom-free for a few months, and all of a sudden he got back into pain, and I thought, my therapy didn't work. It didn't last. What did I do wrong? And I was trying my best to figure out what I did wrong or didn't do that I should have done. And then he said, and then the season was over, because there was a farm right down the road from him where he got fresh corn every day.
Right.
And the season was over. He wasn't eating corn anymore, and he went back to being symptom-free again. And I'm going, so
he figured it out. He kind of put 2 and 2 together. Oh, amazing. And I'm sure it's not just corn, but I'm sure with each individual. I had a client, and I was working with them for IBS, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. This is like 10 years ago. And I tried everything in my arsenal, and nothing was coming up. Nothing was working. And finally he came to me one day and he said, Didi, it's flax seeds. The moment I eat flax seeds, my body just has to flush it out. And as soon as he stopped the flaxseed, the IBS was gone. So it's fascinating. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it is activated by the potholes and exacerbated by stress and all that stuff on top of it. But sometimes the thing that's also triggering it could be a food. So that's really amazing that the both of you learned that.
Yeah, and it's interesting that people think that stress and anxiety trigger their IBS symptoms, when actually it's the reverse. Stress, the IBS, because the motility of the gut, the movement of the gut to process food through it, is controlled by your vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is this big nerve that just kind of meanders through your body, and it really is the kind of the nerve headquarters that causes all of your other nerves to react. And when it starts either slowing down or usually speeding up most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
When its processing speeds up, it causes anxiety.
Got it.
And it causes stress. And so the link that most people think is caused by anxiety is actually the anxiety triggering, the illness triggering the anxiety.
Interesting.
But,
fascinating.
So I addressed that as part of the therapy, and it just kind of settles down and learns how to chill out and do its job regularly and rhythmically like it's supposed to.
Wow. So this year you're going to be teaching how many hour workshop on fibromyalgia and what it is and how to eliminate the symptoms?
It's an 8-hour workshop and it's IBS.
The IBS. The IBS is for everybody. It's the pre-conference course where you're going to get certified in working with IBS.
It's one day.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an 8-hour class, full day class.
Yeah.
And then some homework on the side because it takes me at least 10 hours to teach this therapy process. Sure. So that's why they get homework on the side. Okay. And it is an experiential class. I want them to practice the techniques in class so that I know they've got them, that they've got the theory and the actual practical application.
Okay.
And they get the workbook, they get everything they need in the class.
Okay, fantastic. And Hypnothoughts also has you doing a 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour workshop on fibromyalgia, what it is and how to eliminate it. So how many hours is that?
Well, it takes me a good 8 to 10 hours to teach that one as well.
But you're doing an introduction, right?
I'm doing an introduction so that people can determine if this is something that they're interested in.
Sure.
A lot of people just aren't interested in doing medical hypnotherapy.
Right.
They get approached by clients or potential clients all the time, but they don't know what to do, and they're not sure they really want to take that on. And what I will tell you is if you start doing medical applications of hypnotherapy, you need to be pretty well committed to that because it'll take over your whole practice.
Right. What's the percentage of referrals you get from doctors nowadays?
Oh, all my clients. That's where for the last 20 years, that's where all my clients have come from. And I was seeing 25 to 30 clients a week in my office. Okay. And running 1 to 2 groups at night. And I cut back to 20 clients a week.
It's a lot, yeah.
And no groups at night, and that made life a lot more livable.
Great.
But I mean, you can work as many hours as there are in the day.
Sure. And no need for marketing when you get all those referrals. So you're not going to spend any money on your marketing budget, and you're not going to have to do all this stuff like posting to social media. And it's a fantastic way to run a business. Hey, thanks so much for being with us here today. Look forward to seeing you at Hypnothoughts. And you have a great day, Melissa Roth.
You too, Didi.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.